Looking out my window, sun shining bright.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Your boy Reese, aka the Sideliner. Day one of the NBA play-in is over, and man, was it crazy. So day one, Miami Heat, game one, Miami Heat taking on the Atlanta Hawks in Miami. Everybody gave the upper hand to Miami, including myself. Nobody expected Atlanta to come out and play the way that they did, but kudos to Atlanta. Quinn Snyder, he's on a six-year playoff streak, making it to the playoffs, the longest active streak of any head coach in the league right now. So kudos to the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young did his thing. It was a decent game for Trae Young. 25 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Trae Young had 8 rebounds, nearly out-rebounding Bam Adebayo, who had just 9 rebounds, to Clint Capella's 21 rebounds. Like, it was an insane game. A lot of misses, obviously. But the Miami Heat in that first quarter, they just came out completely flat. No energy, taking terrible shots, just chucking up threes. I was confused as to why Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, especially Bam Adebayo, wasn't being involved in the offense early on. Bam ended up with 12 points on 12 shots. Not an ideal game if you're trying to. It's a one game to secure a playoff seeding, to secure a playoff spot for your team, for your fans, and they blew it. I made a joke in my last video saying that the two most important pieces to them winning this game would be Kyle Lowry and Udonis Haslem. That joke turned into a reality. Kyle Lowry was huge in this game. 33 points came out of nowhere. I was super shocked when I seen it. Jimmy, to his standards, pretty disappointing game. Just 21 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds. And as I mentioned about the Atlanta Hawks, their role players, everyone outside of Trae Young stepped up and did their part. Clint Capella, like I said, was a monster on the glass. DeJounte Murray dropped 18 points. And off the bench, Saddiq Bey, 17 points. He was hitting the threes. 12 points for Onyeka, 10 and 7 for Jalen Johnson. He was a very, very key piece in that game. And then Bogdanovich had 14 as well. So just all around was a great scoring game. Miami made it somewhat of a game going down in that second half, later in that second half. But ultimately, they came out too flat. Their energy wasn't there. And Atlanta had the upper hand since the beginning of the game. If you bet on Atlanta to win that game, you probably got a lot of bread. So moving on to the second game of the night, obviously Lakers versus Timberwolves. I don't even know where to begin with this one. From the beginning of the game, it didn't look good for the Lakers. LeBron James wasn't being aggressive. Anthony Davis was, but he was being out-muscled and out-aggressive. Karl-Anthony Towns had more aggression, which was surprising to me in that first quarter, the first half. Karl-Anthony Towns was really doing this thing. There was a graphic that popped up on the screen at one point in the first half. The Wolves were 0 for 4 when Karl-Anthony Towns was not on the floor, and they were 13 for 15 from the field when he was on the floor. And at that point, they were up on the Lakers by like 6. It was a great showing for Cat, at least early on. Anthony Edwards, as we know, struggled, just 9 points in this game. As we know, that's not what we expected from him. Obviously, myself, I thought he would be the one that would have a big game. Mike Conley was a very key piece down the stretch, especially in that Anthony Davis. He has like some of the worst closeouts that I've seen in this year. Like, that's like the third time in the past couple weeks that he's fouled a 3-point shooter, and it's been like it's bit them in the ass almost. Like, had Mike Conley made the shot, that's game. He just needs to make a free throw. He fouled him, and it been an and one on that 3. You know, Lakers is playing again tomorrow night. Luckily, the game just went into overtime. Almost went to double overtime. Had Taurean Prince hit that open 3 in the corner, the game would have went to double overtime, and we would have been like. I'm still like, I don't know. I'm like nervous for the Lakers moving forward. Yeah, they secured their seeding, but at the same time, they struggled with the Phoenix Suns team that sat Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Chris Paul. They just struggled with this Memphis Grizzlies. Oh my gosh, I do this every time. With the Minnesota Timberwolves, who didn't have their 2 best defenders on the floor, in Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels. Like, I don't understand what's going on with the Lakers at this point. Yeah, they're winning games. They're 16, 17, 18, and 7 in their last since the trade deadline now. But it's a lot going on over there. It's just not looking promising for the Lakers, if we're being honest. Like D'Angelo Russell was so, oh my God, he was making me so angry in that first half, just taking ridiculous shots, bumping and just throwing the ball up, trying to draw the foul, and he's not getting the foul call. It was looking real bad, and I was pleading for Darvin Ham to take him out the game. Luckily for them, Dennis Schroeder did hit that last shot in regulation to give them the chance to go to overtime. They should have won the game, but like I said, Anthony Davis, bonehead play, nearly blew that for them. Kyle Anderson, 13 assists, really taking on that playmaking role for the Timberwolves in this late stretch of the season. He's been very impressive. I'm interested to see how this next game will go, depending on who loses in this Pelicans or wins in this Pelicans and Thunder game tonight. I'm very interested to see how that Minnesota game goes, especially seeing how Rudy Gobert will be back for that matchup. But Anderson, he had 12 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. Like, you can't ask for much more. Then Conley, like I said, was a very key piece, 24, 4 and 4. He also had 3 steals. Ant-Man struggled, but he came away. He had three decent blocks, one very nice one at the end of, the end of the second quarter on Rui Hachimura right at the rim. Remnants of the Kawhi Leonard block on Jamal Murray when he blocked it with just his finger. So he's really impressing me on the defensive end this year. I'm hoping he bounces back for this next matchup once they get Rudy back and they can get shit back in groove. But play in, crazy. Game day one, obviously not as I expected with the Miami Heat losing. They do have a second chance, seeing who go, depending on who wins the Toronto-Chicago matchup, and they'll have that extra opportunity. But the Lakers, like I thought, even though it was closer than it should have been, they secured their seeding. They're in the playoffs, thankfully, and they're taking on the Memphis Grizzlies, who are they're a bit thin at that big position, but as we saw in this game, that doesn't really matter. Not really having bigs against the Lakers, so it could go either way. But be sure to tune in, man. We staying tapped in through this entire playoff run, dropping videos after the games, giving recaps, going over them, giving my thoughts. It's gonna be better the more that we get into it, the deeper that we get into the playoffs. But as always, it's your boy Reese the Sideliner. Short one, just touching on the games. Like I said, drop a subscribe, drop a like, comment, and I'll see y'all in the next one.